Hey guys, welcome back to Punishing Grey Raven. In today's video, we're taking a look at the 8-12 boss. A bit of a guide, some tips on things to avoid when you're trying to clear it, because it is a bit of a tough stage depending on how powerful your characters are. So let's get into it. Okay, so first up, we're going to talk about the boss's skills. The first one to watch out for, if you are attacking him and he's getting flinched, he will break out of it by sort of just spreading his arms and doing a big AoE that just basically covers the map. So that's the first one to watch out for. It's really easy to keep track of if you are hitting him, if you watch him really closely to see what he's doing. If you are playing a ranged character, and this is a big tip that I have and what I do in my runs, I don't use QTE abilities because if I'll use maybe my live to get the heal and the attack buff, but I won't use any damage dealing or tank QTEs because when they jump out, it's hard to see what the boss is doing and it's hard to get the visual cue on his AoE. Now, if you're really, really good, you can go ahead and do it, no worries. But for me, I just find it easier to keep track of what the boss is doing when I don't actually activate the QTE abilities. So that is the first one, that AoE. Next up, he has two lunging abilities. One where he does a spin on the way through, and then he swings, and then he will do a second swing. So sometimes you have to double dodge, but if you're right next to him and you dodge basically straight past him, you'll be able to just keep circling around and avoid that second swing without having to do a second dodge. Now, next up, he has a really fast lunge ability where he sort of just darts straight at you and does a big slash. So that one's harder. You got to be really quick on that. And you'll start to see the different visual cues in the two, where the quick one, he sort of just darts straight away and you know you've got to dodge straight away. Whereas the other one, he does a big loop and you can sort of wait until he gets closer to engage and then go for the dodge. Now, if you're at range, what you never want to do, you often want to get away from the boss and kite and run around, but you never want to run directly away from the boss, because if you run directly away from him, as opposed to running around in a circle around him, he will use this hand grab ability where he just basically grabs you, pulls you in, and one-shots you, and that's pretty much job done. So there will be a lot of times where you want to kite and run around, but you don't want to run directly at or directly away from the boss because he will just grab you and kill you effectively. Now, for melee, he does have a counter ability, which is basically, if you engage him when he's not in the middle of something else, this is the best way I could find that he will do it. It's just if you engage him and he's pretty much ready for you to engage, he'll do a big counter attack and he'll basically just shred you and one-shot you as well. So when you do engage as a melee, you want to do it out of the matrix or when dodging one of his other abilities is going to be the safest place to go ahead and do it. Now that pretty much covers his abilities. As for the playstyle, you can do it many different ways. You can go quite aggressive with melee and just try and keep him engaged the whole time so that he keeps using his AoE and you can really see it and dodge. I find melee easier in this fight personally. If I fight it ranged, then what I try and do is kite, wait to get into the matrix and then do a bit of damage and then kite again. I just find melee easier, and that's a personal opinion. But like I said, I try and avoid using QTEs except for maybe live because they just mask what I can see. And what you want to do is you want to maintain a good dodge gauge. If your character gets low on the dodge and you get into the red zone, that's the perfect time to swap so that you can refresh your dodges, because if you get stuck without dodges, you're pretty much done for. He's going to get you with the next attack. So swap to recycle through those dodges. You can also swap more frequently so that you can get more perfect dodges to enter into the matrix, making things a little bit easier. But if you are playing with three characters, it's not too bad once you get used to the mechanics of it. Now, for me personally, I use, if we jump over to my screen here, I used Lucia, I used Bianca, and Liv. Now, as you can see, my Liv, I think she's only got two whatchamacallums on her at the moment, which is why she is so weak. My Bianca is my most powerful one, and then we've got my Lucia at 2053. Now I'll show you quickly the gear that they are using, and the reason I'm not using Anonymy and I'm using two damage dealers instead is one, my Anonymy isn't upgraded, and two, like I said, I don't want to use those QTEs, so I'd rather, in my swapping, cycling through characters, I'd rather be using Bianca and Lucia to be able to get more damage out along the way. But you can really use just about whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable playing with. But that is my powers. You got 2419 there. I do have the 6-star set on this one. This set is actually really helpful for it as well, because when you do a 3-ping, you get into the matrix. More matrix time equals more time regenerating dodges, which can be really nice. Then obviously that is my Lucia at 2053, and my Liv, like I said, I was playing around with memories and I just never put any back on her. So she's got 2 level 1 memories, so not the greatest. But what we'll do now is we'll jump into a battle. I'll show you a playthrough. I'll probably fail, but at least you'll get a bit of an idea of what's going on. I'll turn the volume on because I didn't realize I had it off that whole time. And let's go in and get started. I've also got my headphones off, which sucks. So let's go in. Yes, and the other thing is I turn support off. I turn support off because those support characters, kind of like using QTEs, they really do distract from what's happening to the boss, and they make it hard to see. So let's hope we can do a little bit of action here. Let's go. There he is. And it's really easy to... I start with Lucia because it's really easy to engage with melee, because you can just sort of kite like this and then engage on him, and you'll see him doing that AoE, and then you can just engage on him again. Dodge that one again. Dodge it again. He's going to do it again shortly. This is the AoE again. And now he'll do the AoE again. And then we actually got into another one of those. He never does it this many times in a row, but this is really nice. You can see now he's going to attack us. This is where I can swap over to my Bianca. Like I said, I can do this, but I don't like staying in with ranged characters. He's about to do the... Yeah, as you can see, I missed it. That's that hand grab that you got to be really careful for. I'm just going to swap out to Liv here. There you go. He does that again. Like when he's getting flinched, he's always going to do that ability. So now we're just going to kite for a bit. That hand grab, like I said, very dangerous. Hopefully he'll do the whirly one. So that's the whirly one that's easy to predict. And normally he will do a second slash after it. There it is again. Let's just do some deeps. Oh, we missed it. And that's that grab. And that's that faster one where he keeps doing slashes as well. So let's just enter like that. Once again, we can swap to get those extra perfect dodges. Now I do have my ult ready, so I can just ult, and you can ult to immune his AoE. And as you can see, I ran out of dodges. That was just pure bad play there by me. And now that we've got him going that's a really good time to engage on him. Missed the dodge again. Whoops, my bad. But then you can use the ult to avoid damage. See how he's engaging on me? The ult was basically my version of dodging. Now I can play the kite game. There we go, he does that one, but we can go ahead and do this. Engage on him again, and you can engage on him with impactful abilities to get away from that sort of stuff. So, and then that one, like I said, if you're close, he does do a few swings, but you can get away from it. Then we can just go in and do a bit of deeps, and he does use that ability from the air like you just saw then. So then we'll just swap out, get a bit of range. We can do that again. Now he's going to use that ability. Whoop, I'm out of dodges here, so I might die here. He's probably going to use the hand from that range. When you get further out, he does use the hand a bit more. And what we can do here is we can engage. He's going to use that AoE again. And then we can just probably finish him off with that almost. But then we can go with that. Wait for him to do the... And that's pretty much it. As you can see, I made a fair few mistakes in that one. Still wasn't too bad. I do prefer the melee style. You can see when I swapped to my Bianca, I just got a bit unsettled. I prefer being in melee range against this guy. Just to let you sort of... I just find melee is a lot easier. As long as you don't engage and give him too much time to see you engaging to do that counter attack, which you didn't actually see there. You just want to engage after... a dodge, and that's pretty much the simplest way to do it. With ranged, I find I often attack him at ranged, and then he'll do the AoE, I'll dodge that, but then he'll go straight into the hand grab and grab me in. So that's what I try to avoid the most, because there is nothing worse than when you run in there and get absolutely spanked. Now I wish I would have had a damage calculator, but like I said, I much prefer going in with the melee than the ranged. But the reason, obviously, if I had two melee DPS built, I would probably go in with them. For a lot of fights, I do prefer the Bianca, but in this fight in particular, I just feel like it's a lot easier for me personally to preemptively see what he's doing with melee. And once again, that other big tip, don't run directly away or directly towards him because you'll get screwed. Manage your dodges because dodges are everything. If you run out of dodges, it is death. Engage after a dodge is the main time to engage. And like you saw at the start of that one, it doesn't normally go that smooth at the start of the battle where we got like, we sat engaged on him for like 30 seconds. Normally he does a different ability, but sometimes you get lucky and he just keeps doing the AoE, which is really easy to see the visual cue on. But once he does go for a strike, don't be afraid to sit back, kite around. Like I said, never run directly at or away from him, and just kite around, build up your dodges, swap if you run out of dodges. That's the big thing. Just be careful when you go to swap who you're swapping to, because if you've, say, gone into the Matrix and popped a 3-ping, sometimes which screwed me up before was I accidentally bring out the QTE instead of actually doing the swap that I was trying to do. So just a few tips there. Hopefully you guys can get through it. Really enjoyable boss battles in this game. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But yeah, that is going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.